How much work does it take to get your first fix and flip deal? Okay, so this is how it goes, guys. When we're talking about fix and flips, we want to get one property that we can flip. Okay. To get one property we'll flip, we've got to get properties under contract. And then once they're under contract, then we do our inspections and those things. And there are going to be some of these that don't turn out. Okay. And before we get the under contract, we're going to need to make some offers. Before we made some offers, we're going to need to do some site visits or go to houses in the home. Before we do that, we're going to have to generate some phone calls. And before that, we're going to have to generate some leads. So as you can imagine, the first lead is probably not going to turn into the first deal, right? There's going to be a factor that falls down. So we have to reverse engineer this, which is exactly what we've done here. Okay. Whoops, here. Okay, this is reverse engineer it. So let's say I'm using the basic mode here, and let's say I can invest $500 a month in marketing. How much can you invest upfront? And let's say I can invest, I don't know, $100 a month. Let's say I want a wholesaler, want a retail. I'm going to retail, which is a fix and flip. I'm a beginner and I want to do this in the next 12 weeks. So like 4, 8, 12, like 90 days. Okay. How many deals do you plan to do during this time period? 1, when do you plan to start working on this? Let's see where I'm going to start working on this next week. Let's just say the 16th. Okay. So save and calculate. This is going to do the reverse engineering. Now, there aren't hard and fast numbers for this because it's going to depend on marketplaces. It's going to depend on price ranges. It's going to depend on your skill set. It's going to depend on your sales skill set. But we're trying to just use some basic general data to show you how this works. So to do that, we are going to need 10 signed offers in order for us to get to that one deal. So we're going to do some leads, we're going to do some appointments, and let's do a weekly detail here. So this is basically the concept for us. We're going to do postcards in that first week, and we're going to expect maybe 1 response. We're going to do driving for dollars, which we have an app to follow as you drive for dollars, and you do that. And then you'll save that. And then you'll go to week 2 and you'll do the same thing. You're going to send 120 postcards and you're going to attempt to contact 40 properties in driving for dollars. And you're going to do 102 postcards and you're going to attempt to contact 40 driving for dollars. If you wonder how the driving for dollars works, we actually have an app that you can use for that. Works really well. Okay, so here's our app for driving for dollars. You can come here and you can resume a driving session or start a driving session, and it shows you exactly where you drove in the past and where you've been and that type of stuff. As you come up to properties, you can say, hey, I like that property, and you can look at the opportunity or everything else. I also can just send a postcard right from here. And there we go. It's got all my information because I've put it in already. You set that up on the computer, and so it's good to go. Next, yes, and next. Print and mail. So I literally just mailed this guy a postcard. Order's on its way. Perfect. But you know what? I want to skip trace. Run a skip trace. This is the owner. I'm going to proceed with that. There is a cost to send the postcard. There's a cost to run the skip trace, very minimal. And so I want to get the information on her. It's going to take a minute, and we'll see what information we get on there. But the driving for dollars is where I'm going around and I'm trying to find properties that are in need of repairs. Because the idea is if there's a property in need of repairs and they haven't been doing anything to it, they're probably in some sort of a situation that's going to require them needing some help at some point. And so I'm going to put that on my list and I'm going to reach out and I am going to talk to them. Okay, so here's one where we've got the information. Okay, it's giving me cell phone numbers. I can send a text message, I can send an email, and then I can call a landline. Now, this doesn't mean that these are definitely this person's phone number, but they're the most recent phone number that we've had. So when we're talking about this, That's what we're talking about when we're talking about a lead. A lead is a distressed property, or a lead is someone that responds to one of my postcards, and then that becomes a phone call, okay? And then phone calls, once I talk to them, understand motivation, where they're at, then becomes a site visit where I go and actually look at the property and I meet with them. And then from there, I make an offer to them. And then we go under contract if they agree to those terms or we negotiate the terms. And then I buy the property, fix it up, resell the property on the flip. So it takes a lot to get here. A lot of people think that one property is going to get them there. And it's just simply not. So what we're looking at here is you're going to need 57 phone calls. It's called leads in here, but you're going to need more leads than that. And that's going to turn into appointments, about 14 house visits. And then those 14 are going to turn into a number of offers. I'd say somewhere around the 5, and maybe you get 2 of those under contract and one of those makes it through. So you're going to have to be making a lot of calls, a lot of site visits, a lot of offers, and a lot of getting properties under contract in order to get a good deal. Now, the question then becomes like, oh my goodness, this is a lot of work to get one deal. And the answer is yes. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, the first one's the hardest. Absolutely the hardest. If you made 0 money on your first deal, but you learned how to do this, it would be worth it so much. It would be worth everything. The average flip for 2024, average profit on 2024 was $40,836 in 2024. So think about this. How much work would you be willing to do for $40,836? Well, a lot of people, their salary is somewhere around double that. So 6 months. If you're making like $80,000 a year, you're basically saying, I'm willing to spend 6 months. But guess what? You're probably spending at least 40 hours a week. So let's look at this. So we'll go 40 hours a week times 4.3. That's how many weeks there are in a month. And I'm going to times that by 6. 1,032 hours is the amount of time a lot of people are making $80,000 a year for 6 months of that time. Okay. So how many hours do you think it's going to take you to do phone calls, site visits, tours, those types of things? Well, driving is going to take time and you're going to have to do leads and everything else like that. Well, the easiest time that you're going to spend is here. This is the least amount of time and it's going to work its way up. But the question is, if you spend 1,000 hours to do this, would it be worth it? And the answer is yes. If you spent 2,000 hours, the answer would be yes. 3,000 hours, the answer would be yes. But you've got to be realistic. You're not just going to go on the MLS, find a property, make an offer, and that's going to be a good deal. Because the most amount of competition is on the MLS, the most amount of people are going after those, and they bring the highest prices, which is why we want to do that to sell properties. But when we're buying properties, we want to be buying properties hopefully direct from sellers so that we can be getting the best deal possible. And that's exactly what our system has put together in order for you to be able to do. What we find is most people are unrealistic on the time frame and the work it's going to take to find the property. And you've got to put in the time to find that great deal. That's what it takes. You can do it. It's worth it. The first one is the hardest. So don't wait. Get started now.